Yo, welcome to the Table Talk podcast, where we sit down, pull up a chair, and we get started. This podcast is designed to provide you packed full of information to help you with your training, nutrition, lifestyle, and well-being, where we interview myself through case studies to give you lifetime experience. And then we also interview high-performing individuals or other career-focused people who are looking to make changes in their lifestyle, training, nutrition, and well-being. So let's pull up that chair and let's go. Yo, welcome to Table Talk, special episode or bonus episode for you listeners, because we've received a few questions in regards to nutrition and a bit of weight loss. And I get to show you this. What is it? For those that are listening, you have no idea what I've just done. Just held up a little cup. What is the purpose of it? How can it actually help you with your weight loss journey, but also help you to put on weight, or if you're looking to put on muscle? So let's get straight into it and let's dive deep. Disclaimer, all information from myself and Vitruvian Health in regards to training, nutrition, and therapy for educational purposes only, and is not meant to diagnose or treat any health conditions, and is not a replacement for treatment by a healthcare provider. If you have any concerns, please consult your GP. We've got a team of them that we collaborate with, so if you don't know anyone, we can refer you out. So let's start with probably the biggest one, which is most people want one of three things. Number one, they want to stay in a maintenance phase. So they want to keep their body weight as it is, body is exactly the same. Two, they want to put on more size or mass. So they're putting on weight. Or three, they're wanting to lose weight, so drop it off. The way I like to think of it is think of a bank account. If you consume 2,000 calories or $2,000 a day, like that job, and you get paid $2,000, then everything stays in moderation. Now, if in a perfect world, you're getting adequate sleep, you're eating the right amount of meals at the same time, you're training at the same time, you're progressively overloading your body, then everything should stay the same. The thing is that some days you might get paid in the morning and then you get paid in the evening. And so those little changes cause little disruptions. In that perfect world, it irons out to be even. So we just call this homeostasis. So for the purpose of all of this, let's just imagine that you're doing majority of the things right. 10% of the time you have deviations. The thing is the body, you eat a little bit more, you'll find that you'll probably move a little bit more the next day, and that kind of burns it all out. So it's more of an average, right? So, if you get paid $1,900 this week and then $2,100 next week to make up for it because the boss forgot to pay you all of the money, but they had a discussion with you before and you said it was okay, and then you forgot and you were like, brah, and then they pay you back and you're like, oh, I got a bit extra money. So like in the real world, these things can happen. And obviously if we discuss it and we plan it, we're pretty cool with it. It's just when it comes as a surprise, I didn't get paid this week, wow, then things kind of blow out of control. So we're here to talk and break down each one of these 5 key things, from mindless eating, lack of awareness in portion sizes, social pressures and environments. Oh, they made me eat it, because food mugs people, of course. Lack of planning and preparation, that's probably the biggest one here. And then psychological barriers when it comes to food. So let's start with number 1, mindless eating. So the question here is, how can I define mindless eating, and what are some common triggers and for behavior? So I've looked up the online Googles, and we've got mindless eating refers to consuming food without being fully aware, or the act of eating or paying attention to portion sizes. Funny that. And we've probably all gone through it in the sense of chips. I will eat only one, hump, and the packet disappears. Or if you're like me, I will only have a little bit of ice cream, and then, what do you know, half the punnet's gone. And I look at Kate and I'm like, why did you eat more of ice cream? The blame game. So how does this occur? So the mindless eating, well, it can occur due to 1, you don't eat consistently, so inconsistent meal times. 2, work just takes over. So stress is high, and when stress is heightened for a period of time, we stimulate a hormone called ghrelin. And think of a gremlin. Gremlins or ghrelin makes you hungrier. And that's really just your body looking to satisfy your appetite. And then what will happen is leptin will get produced. So ghrelin goes up, leptin goes down. So your satiety hormone, so you're hungry, and then transition. The thing is, if we had a watch that said you require 33 grams of carbs, 10 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, you'd be like, perfect, that's what I'll go eat. And the meal you should have is this. You'd be like, oh, awesome, I'll go get that. Instead, we go, I'm hungry, and we tend to, or I'm tired. So what do? We go downstairs, we get ourselves a coffee, and the shop's got a special on. And so we go and buy ourselves the chocolate muffin. And then when you realize, oh, raisins. Wow. So a few things that might happen there. But then even if it was raisins, you might get yourself some Nutella, put on that bad boy, and off you go. So you'd still eat it. But now that puts your calories up higher. So how do we overcome that is really being proactive. So if you know that work's stressful or you know things are going to come up, being prepared beforehand. So for example, you could have a bag of amino acids. So my recommendation is have a bag of aminos and a container of dried fruit and nuts. So yes, you're putting carbs and fats up, but you have this and you know when you're busy, you can just grab yourself a shaker, shake it up, and then sip on it. Because, if you pull out a big meal and you're sitting in a meeting, you're like this, a lot of people are going to look at you like, what's going on? So if you put the nuts and fruit in your mouth, chew it as you walk to the meeting, and you sip on the aminos, you can be sipping on your liquids through the meeting. Because you're allowed to drink your water. And if you're not allowed to, that's a different concern itself. So though it might not be a full meal, it provides you nourishment to sustain you for that period of time. So rather than ghrelin getting out of control, you're maintaining it. Now, for the client who sent this, I know she has like 12-hour days, and she's like, oh my gosh. And so the second thing that can cause mindless eating is that the ability to say, you shouldn't be eating chocolate, you shouldn't do this. What we do for her is like, she loves Toblerone. I used to fight her on this. I'm like, you can't do Toblerone. And so then what would happen is she would just deny eating it. And we got to the point where I was like, cool, have Toblerone, have a piece, but make sure you have it with a meal. So when she got home, she would have a meal as she normally would, but then she has a piece of Toblerone with it. And so that's a way that we can control it, because if you have a little bit of the good stuff that you want, you're then less likely to binge and eat out of control. Last one to this is a lot of the time this will happen in screen times, watching TV, movies. Just be mindful that maybe you should eat your food prior, so you're then less likely to snack. Or if you are wanting to snack, popcorn is a really big filler that you could have. Second question, lack of awareness with portion sizes. So what are tips that I can use to help me manage my portion control without having to count my calories? And that's where the cup comes in. So, practical tip for understanding portion sizes is really to visualize it. So the first one that we use is the palm size. So if you look at the size of your palm, and if you're like, well, I'm a small person, well, guess what? Your calorie intake is going to be less than a giant person. So really, it's just relative. So if you look at your palm, the size of your palm, that would be the serving of a protein. And yes, you've already got the thickness there. So you can't just, Kate did, she got a pizza and she puts it in the palm of her hand and she goes, ha, protein serve, palm of my hand. I was like, oh, yes. Your palm and then the thickness. So it can't be like you put a cardboard box in your hand and everything fits in it with one portion and you have 4 of those a day. No. So palm. Then if you look at your fist, that is a serving of vegetables. People would say too, because vegetables, I don't tend to overthink. The more the better. And then if you open your palm like a bowl of soup, that would be a serving of carbs. So you fill your hand with it. And then your thumb is a portion of fat. So like peanut butter, oils, avocados, though they'll all have different calorie intakes, you can go out and look at these foods and go, is that the size of my hand? If you're thinking, it's about 1.5, it's about 3 thumbs of fat, cool, maybe the next meal I won't have any fat. Then that works for a lot of people, but carbohydrates is the biggest thing. It's like, I don't want to put my hands in it. You're out to dinner, you're putting the pasta in your hand and people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making it sure it's the right portion for me. So there are some gaps in some of these. And this is where a half cup serve works. So the thing is, carbohydrates help with performance. So quick science lesson is carbs break down to glucose. Glucose goes into your body. Insulin picks it up, transports it to the muscle, and it goes in the muscle. Boop. So when we train it, we contract, we use some of that energy. So we all require carbohydrates. And the thing is, you can have other people on keto and low carb. The body will find a way to break down like proteins and fats to get you the sugars. It just takes longer. That's why a lot of the time when you go on those diets, you feel groggy. So portion, you feel this, you could do cooked rice, raw rice, cereal, grains, whatever you like, any type of carb, even bread, pack it in, but then you kind of lose the bread to want to toast it. So potatoes, yams, pumpkins, rice are my main ones, cereals, oats. So you get probably like 5 of these little cups, And my five, this is a half cup. What you do is you could do every meal or 2 meals. So you go 1, 2, have that with a meal. So if you do 4 meals a day, you do 2 serves in 2 meals or 1 with each meal. And you look at how your weight goes. Now, for me, I've been working on bringing my carb intake up. So I've been tracking my calories and my macros. But for those that don't want to, this is great. And what you want to do is you actually want to gradually increase your cup size to the point that your body stops losing weight. So if your goal is to maintain weight or lose weight, what you do is you pick a number, start with 1 or 2, because then if you don't eat enough, you'll lose weight. And so you then eat more, so you add more cups. So 3 outcomes happen: put on weight, lose weight, and maintain weight. If you start putting on weight, you're having too many serves. So for me, I'm having about 16 of these. So 16 is my number that I start to put on some weight. So you start with 1 or 2, boom, have that with your meal. Review for a week, check your scale weight. Scale weight will just give you an idea. It's not going to be fat or anything. Just it's fat, muscle, bone, water, carbohydrates, food in your gut, water retention. So I've been able to I've gone from 102.5 kilos to 109.6 in like 12 hours. And that's just come from eating a large portion of carbs in one sitting whilst drinking a lot of fluid. So you don't be concerned with this one. All you're looking for is a general. So portion, start with a half cup. If your weight is moving in the direction you want, you're at a good number. If you're putting on weight, maybe you're doing too much. But you gradually want to do 2 cups, then 4 cups, then 6, 8, 10, 12. Keep adding up until you start to see your weight stabilize. And for those that want to lose weight, then you start to come back down. Or you can train a bit more. Now, the other thing is with these, you can actually put this cup in a bucket of rice. You can put the other one in a box of cereal. You can put another one with your potatoes, like cook 2-3 kilos of potato, put in the fridge, then keep this in it, and you mash it in and dump it. So it makes it really easy portion to control. You don't have to weigh everything. So on my boxes of rice, I actually have a picture that says 1 cup, 60, like I've weighed everything. And so if you did 1 cup, would be good, but half cup's a little easier because you can maintain your portion control while still having some carbs. You can do a 1/4 cup, have a metric that you can consistently use, which is why I like half cups. I also already have 5 of them, so it works really well. But it means if I want a cup, I do 2 of these. Done. If I want a 1/4 cup, look at it and be like, I think that's half of a cup, which makes a 1/4. So that's portion control. Other things that you can do for portion control is you can do tablespoons, teaspoons. Challenge with those is you always want to make sure they are level. A lot of the time, people's eye for detail. So if you look at my eyebrow, that's a level scoop, and most people's scoop's a lot higher. Something to be mindful of there. Question number 3 is how to manage expectations when it comes to social pressure and environments. Because social gatherings can often involve an abundance of food choices, creating pressures to indulge beyond portion controls, especially with peer pressure and influences like your boss, coworkers, or investors. So how do I manage this so I can continue to stay on track? Number 1, say no. Be the black sheep and take control of the situation. 2, maybe opt to be the one that organizes the events, so it's in a space that you have more control of and you're aware of the portions. 3, look up the menu that they're going to provide, talk to your coach and get them to give you suggestions. 4, if you eat 4 meals a day, like I do, like at 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, don't have your first meal in the morning, or have proteins, like protein rich. So let's say you have, like me, 100 grams of carbs each meal. I just don't have my carbohydrates in meal 1, meal 2, and I just push them over to that 4 o'clock meal, knowing that I may eat some of those petit fours and other food choices, so I can then manage the expectations. So if I do spill over, it's totally fine. Also, don't eat and then next day go smash yourself on cardio, because the thing is, there are times to refeed where you'll eat more, and when you eat more, you feel fuller, you train harder. So there's no need to actually smash yourself in the gym. Think of it this way. If you got paid an extra $100 this week, but never again, you wouldn't then go, right, I got an extra $100. I'm going to buy a house. That makes no sense. So it's just like when people go like, oh man, I deviated. I got to go smash myself on the cardio machine for like 2 hours. No, don't do it. Naturally, just going for a walk and sleeping will burn probably just as many calories. So really, it's just being strategic. Like any corporate event Or like the best one is people's birthdays and Christmas. People are like, oh my God, it's Christmas, or it's my birthday, or my partner's birthday coming up, and people freak out. It's the same time every year. How do you forget? To get to a corporate event, you have to, majority of the time, know when it's coming. Today is the 14th of Feb. I've been invited to, I'm really excited. A friend of mine's opening a restaurant. I'm so excited for him. And he actually invited us, 10th of March. So I'm pumped. Now, if he serves me gluten, I will have a stern word. Though knowing him, he probably will. He'll be like, you got to eat the gluten. And I'm like, no, I don't. So stand up for yourself. Though, yeah, like that's like 3 weeks away. So we can definitely like plan for that. And so the cool thing is I've actually been bringing my food intake up, and now I'm starting to bring it back down. Now I'm cutting again. Now I've got more energy, which is great, but I could literally plan, and I do a refeed once a week. So I'm going to plan for my refeed to be on the day, 10th of March, Sunday, for his day, instead of the Friday or the Saturday that I normally have. I lie, it's always on Sunday, but if I did do the refeeds on Saturdays or Fridays, I just move it to the Sunday. It's not gonna be the end of the world. Or I just adjust the carbohydrates for the day. So that's the one with social pressures. Bonus one for that is you are now gluten dairy free. Done. You remove a lot of food options. So a lot of the time you just get protein and veg. I remember we went to an event and I was like, I'm gluten dairy free. And everyone got like small portions of fish and chicken, and I got this big steak, and I was like, hell yeah. And everyone's like, how did you get that? I'm gluten dairy free. So sometimes it pays to be gluten dairy free, though they are more, at times, can be fat heavy. So it's to its own. Number 4 is lack of planning and preparation. How important is meal planning in achieving portion control, and what are some practical approaches to meal prep for busy schedules? This one's a good one. I honestly used to just sometimes think, do whatever, but really, if you plan ahead, you're taking control. Let me explain, is that when you eat food, so we eat food, it breaks down into our digestive tract and it does a bunch of things in our body. Right? What are all those things? We could tell you. It helps with amino acids, helps with recovery, helps with cognitive function, blood sugar management, cell regeneration. There's like heaps of things. Now, I'm not the smart guy here. I'm not saying I am. There's heaps of smart guys out there, and like Luke Lehman, Luke Tulloch, Anna Henselman. You've got Rawdon Dubois, Mr. Dubious, Mike Israetel, a whole lot of people out there super switched on when it comes to these things. Though the thing to understand really is when you get busy, things drop, and so you start to eat maybe a few different things, and that will affect your body differently. So if you're feeling tired or lethargic, it could be because you're now taking on certain foods that maybe are spiking your blood sugar level quicker than you think, like juices. Now, there are times where it's really good, like finishing a workout. You want those sugars in to help your body recover. Though if you're not doing anything, goes up, what goes up must come down, and you have a crash. And then that leads you to be a little more of a gremlin, because ghrelin gets stimulated, leptin gets suppressed, so then quicker. So if we can manage food choices, we can then manage blood sugars. Now, another thing that manages blood sugars, said by Charles Poliquin, is insulin. And he who controls insulin controls the aging process. So my question would be are you too busy to control your aging, or do you want to age really fast? Most of us would say, I don't want to age quickly. So therefore, you're not busy enough to manage your portion controls. You just don't know where to go to save you the most time to leverage the things you want to do. I love to cook. Lucky for Kate. So we use a meal company that does gluten dairy-free meals and helps us to control our macros. So my goal is 200 grams of protein. I get 4 meals a day. So it's about 50 grams of protein. Now, one of those meals is about 50 grams of protein, 60 grams of carbs. The great thing about it is if I want to cut carbs, just get the chicken, 50 grams is right there. I don't eat the pasta. I always eat the pasta though. At the moment, though, it's really cool because I can do that. Now, there's a cost to it. So then like the chicken's now technically worth more, but saves me time. Like we used to meal prep. Like I could do all of our meals within 2 hours, but I would do that 2 times a week. When you're tired, you're like, It's the last thing you want to think of. So using a meal company can help. The other one is having a list of restaurants, such as for me, Home Thai, in the evening. So that's usually where I'll go to for dinner because they've got big portions of meat, vegetable dishes. So they cater to those that eat meat and vegetarians and vegans, which is great. So it's also great because if we go out with friends, that's where we go. And so I know by looking at the foods they give us, it's a large portion of proteins, vegetables, and I can either have rice with it or I don't. So knowing where I like the restaurants you would recommend are definitely good goes to. I like fishbowl, grilled burgers. Those are my main ones. You can do Nando's, because that's like next to Kate's work. But there are like nicer restaurants out there, which I can't say one at the moment because it opens on the 10th of March. But there's a few good ones out there. Like you could go to Rockpool and like price is higher. But then what you're doing is you're leveraging, say, like I'm going to catch up with friends or I could do business meetings at those events. So I'm getting food and I get to network at the same time. So that's a way to leverage your time. So not knowing how to leverage your time and be the challenge there. So that should be a few quick ones. So let's just quickly wrap that one up. Yes, it's important to plan because you can take control of your blood sugars and your energy levels. 2, use a meal prep company. I use Platinum Meals, or you can order through Vitruvian Health, info@vitruvianhealth.com.au. We'll send you a meal plan and we can actually custom make your macros for you. So we can adjust and let you know how and when to eat those foods. So that would mean like this week, let's eat the carbs. And then next week, let's cut the carbs. So literally you look at the portion, you just go, cool, I'll have half that. So it's easier to control. It's less thing to think about. 3 is you could also go 3 or 2 meals and then do a protein shake in the evening, which makes it easier and lighter in the stomach to help. 4, know where you want to eat and how it caters to you. So for example, it's like if I'm gluten-free, so going to an Italian restaurant might not be the best choice for me. Now, there are some great Italian restaurants around me. How I don't go to them because it doesn't work for me. Now, for you, if you're like, but I thrive off carbs, great. You're going to Italian restaurants. Other choices for me are I've got grilled. Like this Subway, double meat, double veg portions. Got grilled burgers. I think I said that twice. Fishbowl, Nando's. So knowing a little place, Home Thai is my usual go-to, or Yuli's. So I'll go there with friends or for networking events, or Marcelleria. And that's how I can control my food portions because I know what they serve, know what that equals in its protein content, portion macro content, and therefore I'm not being thrown out. It's better leveraging my time. Last one, which is a great one, which is the psychological barriers. How do unrealistic expectations about weight loss impact adherence to portion control goals and how the expectations managed? This is a big one because really everyone wants sustainable fat loss and muscle gain. However, social media, check out these 2 photos. So here's a picture of a Maximize Muscle and Minimize Fat Gain ebook. This is the marketing that we put out on the first day. So Shreddy Ready Eddie and Amelia, who worked hard to get to their body composition. They put in the work. So they started here for 6 weeks, dialed everything in, decreased inflammation, cognitive felt better. And these guys killed it. And they look good, though they transitioned into their training phase. So they're still training and doing everything, but then we started to manage their calories more and implementing cardiovascular training as well. Some people didn't like it. It was a bit intimidating, it's too intense. And so we changed it. And this is the one that people like. Yeah, that's me being crushed by 40 kilos and Kate helping me. Not really. She eventually did. That's why I'm here now, not still under those weights. People like that one. Cool. So we changed it because people's feedback is like, oh, it's unrealistic to achieve that. I'm like, it's totally realistic. It's just being clear on what it is you want to do and achieve. So we changed the marketing. However, most people on social media, they're all posting these photos all the time. It's like Shreddy Ready and Amelia looking like that all the time. However, a lot of these are photoshopped. Like I'll find the video, like look at my eye right now. So if you're looking at my eye, that's the blue of it. Okay. And then I made a video and the phone filters my eye really well. I was like, wow, my eyes look really blue. So like these devices are already filtering people to look, I think it's called beautification or something. Like they look really good already. And I actually said that in the video. Yeah, I did. Because someone commented on it. So these things are already filtering like blemishes and things in the body, but then people are cropping it. And like, here's a picture of me photoshopped, like in a photo shoot. So like 3% body fat, and here's me at 30%, looking miserable. That's like 6 months after. That's gross, you'd think. So that's what you get for eating like half a kilo of chocolate every single day. How did that happen? Doing 4 hours of cardio. Things that people don't talk about, right? Social media, it's all about the highs that people have and never so much about the lows. And sometimes we just got to remove that stuff and just look at how do we feel and how can we progress ourselves. If you start using the cup method and you start feeling you've got more energy, you're feeling better, and your weight is exactly the same, you're already ahead. Let me explain. You're eating more portion controlled and your mood is better and your weight is the same. You should be fatter eating more. Scale weight does not care how much you weigh or how much you feel. It doesn't care how good you feel. It doesn't care how tired you are. It'll just tell you a number. It doesn't have to do with feeling. The amount of times we've worked with people, I'm like, how are you today? I've got so much energy. I feel so much better. My strength is up. Like, I've doubled my strength. We have one lady, she's like, oh my God, I'm struggling to do the 3s and now I'm doing 5s. Oh my God, this is the best. I'm so happy. I only lost half a kilo. This is bullshit. Hang on. She's like, I expected to feel all this and be 5 kilos lighter. Okay. So let me get this clear. You feel better. Sex is up. Stronger. You're eating more. And you expect to be losing 5 kilos and you've only lost half a kilo in the space of 2 weeks. She's like, yes, that is so unrealistic. Have you ever lost 5 kilos in 2 weeks? She's like, one time. I'm like, how did that happen? She's like, well, I got really sick, diarrhea, and like I wasn't able to eat for like a week. I'm like, oh, okay. So if we ate raw chicken that's been sitting in the sun for about 6 weeks, probably, I think, gonorrhea or something, you would probably get all those symptoms. She's like, that would be just the worst thing ever. I'm like, okay. So we've achieved this and you're really unhappy with it right now because you stored on scales. Or we could get really sick and unwell, but then you would lose the 5 kilos and you'd never actually want to feel that way. But that's the result you want. She's like, huh, never thought of it that way. How else do we want to think about it? So that would be called playing it out. So the unrealistic expectations of social media, 2 expectations of what we've gone through and what we're expecting, but also most people don't play it out enough. For example, the photo here of me, photo shoot ready, the question's like, wow, he looks great. I wish I could have that. Continue. What would it take to get there? Well, it's a stepping system. Let me start. Find your baseline. Every single week, reduce your calories by 10%. Every 6 weeks, when you start a new program or your deload week, refeed back to your baseline through carbohydrates. So if you get down to 50%, you then go back up and then go 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Refeed, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150%, refeed. And a lot of you would say, but Karl, it's impossible to eat 100% less of your calories. No, you just reduce your calories by 10% through the form of training, eat, steps, supplementation, and nutrition. So if you do an extra 2,000 steps a day, you'll probably burn 150 calories. Great. You do that. Next week, more steps. Next week, more steps. Next week, more steps. So there'd be a point where you go, I can't do more steps. So for me, I was doing about 24,000 steps a day. Sundays, I was a fat cat. Great. Then couldn't push that anymore. Great. Let's manipulate calories. Boom. You'll get to a point where you're like, I can't eat any less, or you can smell it, but you can't eat it. So you would reach a point there. The good thing is you have refeeds to recalibrate everything. Then you start to work on the cardio, another form of training, stimulus, or you could train a little bit more. There's a point where it's redundant because you can't recover. But then, however, you are then implementing it through NEAT, 20 minutes on the treadmill. Good thing is when you're tired, you get moving, you get more energy, work on the phone, 40 minutes, 60, 80, 120, 140, 160, 180. I can't do that straight. Cool. Do an hour in the morning, do an hour at lunchtime, do an hour at nighttime. And so there are ways to do that, but you've got to stay really focused. However, once you hit the day of your photo shoot or your prep, there's no other goal. And so then you stop doing the cardio, you stop doing as many steps, you start eating baseline, your body blows out. Because technically you were in like a 8,000 calorie deficit. You're not going to burn 8,000 calories. It'd be like losing a kilo of fat a day. The body is really smart. The body is smarter than us. has so many functions. So it'll find a way to get back to homeostasis. And so the problem was I was burning so much energy, air quote. So therefore I rebounded quite aggressively. So that was quite a little bit of a dark time for me. And so, we worked through it and started to get back to it. So just play it out. That's how I did it. Cool thing is, if I probably pushed my photo shoot out from 18 weeks to like 36 weeks, could have gone slower, more gradual, and I wouldn't have rebounded as aggressively. But I wanted to go aggressive. I wanted to understand what it took. That's what I got. And then, lo and behold. So just understand real expectations. Also need to have realistic questions and make sure you play it all out so you understand both sides. All right, that brings us to the wrap of the Q&A, the 5 questions that we have. Hopefully you enjoyed. Until next time, we're going to be doing more strength and conditioning. So adios, amigos. Hey, thanks so much for joining the episode of Table Talk today. We hope you found some helpful tips and inspiration in staying healthy and fit, even with a busy schedule. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next conversation. Until then, keep prioritizing yourself, your health, your fitness, and we'll see you on the next Table Talk.